Hello, hello, hello. Just waiting on one thing before I start. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Bernadette Henry of Make It Fun NYC, where I make jump rope and exercise as a whole more fun and exciting for anyone looking to live a healthy and active lifestyle. And today I'm going to discuss one thing that you think you need that you don't need as a newbie jumper. So as you're coming in, feel free to say who you are and where you are watching from. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of things that you, well, actually, really one thing that you think you need that you don't need, right? And then some tips to help you along your journey. Okay. So, jump rope is an amazing activity that people of all ages can enjoy. Whether you're a child, a teen, or an adult in midlife, jumping rope can provide significant physical and mental benefits. However, starting a jump rope as a beginner can be intimidating and overwhelming if you don't know where to start. With all the fancy jump rope tricks on social media and YouTube, it's easy to feel discouraged and start doubting yourself. If you need more time to replicate those skills, that's why it's essential to understand that even the most experienced jump ropers start at day one. Just like everyone else, it's all about preparation and practice. Let's explore how you can approach jump rope as a beginner safely and confident. Hey, Sarah from the Chai, what's up? Um, I have been posting videos, online for a long. Hey, what up, Alex? I've been posting videos online for a long time. I've been posting videos like so long that I was posting them before, or pictures before Instagram had video. And a lot of times people watch these videos, whether they're my videos or other people's videos, and they're like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this without knowing anything about jump rope, right? And the problem is there's several things. Number one, you kind of start to like especially if you haven't jumped rope in a long time, and if you're like older, like your 30s and your 40s, your 50s, and you say, hey, this is something that I did when I was a kid, I could just grab my rope and jump right into it, right? And a lot of times you can't, right? Because when you were a child, or when you are, hey, Harrison, or when you were a teenager, or say you were a young adult, when you jumped rope, it was fun, right? It was all fun and games. But as you became an adult, like it became an exercise, and other simple things like taking a walk or a run, or like the bicycle as a kid, or like adolescents or a young adult, these things were just crazy fun, right? And like I said, when you became older, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a workout indeed, right? And so if you're picking up a rope as an adult, for the first time in like a long time, you're gonna have to ease your way back into it. You can't just pick up the rope and say, oh, okay, let's get it started. Let's get it started. All right. So a lot of times when people are starting again, I always focus on what you need to know outside of the rope before you go into the rope. So I'm just going to give you a few tips, and then I'll be out of your way. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in, and I'll answer the questions and or comments. Okay. So number one, you want to know how to breathe. All right. Jump rope is one of the best exercises for your conditioning and your stamina. This is why you see boxers, especially boxers and other athletes, but it's mainly glorified in boxing. You see them jumping rope all the time. Why? Because when they're in that boxing ring, right, they have to like be on the offense, be on the defense, move around, punch, and all of this in 3 minutes. And let me tell you something. I actually trained boxing. So like I understand, like once that 30-second time coming when you're in doing all of that, you're winded, right? So this is why a lot of your boxers, your martial artists, anybody, they jump and you see them run. They jump and they run. Why? Because it's going to give you optimal conditioning. And with jump rope, what you're doing is you're moving multiple parts of your body at the same time. So like when you're on an elliptical, for example, or a treadmill or whatever, for example, you can move like your legs, right? But you're still doing exercise and your arms can stay still. Or you can move your arms and keep your legs still and you're still doing that exercise. But with jump rope, it's very reactive. Like when you turn the rope, you're expected to jump. You turn, you jump, you turn, you jump, you turn, you jump. So it's no way that you can drop your arms and continue jumping. And this is one of the reasons why it works on your conditioning. So first things first, you want to work on proper breathing techniques. So when you are jumping, you want to, like, in a sense, practice deep breathing. Breathe in your nose, out your mouth, in your nose, out your mouth, in your nose, and out your mouth. Okay. That's number one. If you don't know how to breathe, and especially if you're a beginner, like trying to like do these fancy tricks and things like that, you like a lot of times, like y'all see me on these videos doing these 15-second videos, doing all these crazy tricks and things like that, right? But if I did not have the stamina, I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's important to master your breathing. And one way you can do that is practice jumping in sets of 100, right? Jumping in sets of 100 should take you no more than 45 seconds. And if you can do that over a course of 10 sets of 100, then you're good to go to start learning more fancy tricks. So that's tip number one. Number two, you want to wear the correct shoes, right? If your feet are hurting, you're in no shape to even try to do these fancy tricks. So if you're worried or concerned about your knees, feet, ankle, and joints, you want to wear shoes that absorb shock, such as like a flat shoe, but a flat shoe with cushioning. So I always suggest a cross trainer or a running shoe. And the brand that I suggest is the Mizuno brand. Okay. That's the brand that I wear. And I'm naming the brand because, yes, I am an ambassador for that brand, but there are plenty of sneakers that you could choose from. But you just want to make sure that they have enough cushion. You don't want them to be too cushiony because, of course, when you jump, you have to react. So you just want something that has just enough to absorb that shock, right? And that's going to lead into the next thing, which is jumpable surfaces. So when you're thinking about jumping, you want to jump on surfaces that absorb shock, such as I would say a wood floor, like a springy wood floor. You want to use like a rubber turf or a rubber mat. You want to use surfaces that are also going to absorb that shock. Like you don't want to be in a situation. Oh, thank you so much for the badge, Art of Jump Rope. Thank you so much. You don't want to, or jumping. You don't want to be in a situation where you're jumping on concrete, right? Because concrete, there's no absorption. And when there's not no absorption, now you're like putting a lot of pressure on your knees, your ankles, your feet, your joints, right? I know a lot of people always talk about knee pain, and knee pain always stems from something else, right? So it stems from certain things not being too strong, or when you're doing other things, it has an effect on your knees. So when you're and mind you, all of these things, all of these tips that I'm giving you has nothing to even do with the actual jumping, right? So when you do, hey, how are you, been blessed? So when you do actually start to get to jumping, you want to just make sure that you master the basics. And I know sometimes, like I said, you get online, you see everybody doing all these fancy tricks and twirling and doing these things, and even me, you may watch me have a lot of fun, but you want to master the basics. You want to master the basics so that you can, reach these goals that you want to reach, right? And there is no rat race, right? The easiest way for you to become injured is to try to go faster than you should. So, a lot of times I know people have challenges. So like every day you're doing 500, you're doing 600, you're doing 700, you're doing 800. But what good is doing that if you can't breathe through it, right? Or breathe at least through 100? What good is it if you have on a wrong shoe and then you end up jumping on the concrete and you hurt yourself? You're not going to last throughout that challenge. So there is no race. Every single jumper had to start at day one. Hey, a goat named Evan, what's up? So every single jumper had to start at a day one. And I'd rather you be safe than sorry, right? Like I said, a lot of people, and I know the pressures of social media. You could be like, "Oh my God, I look so whack," and I see these things all the time. I see people that say, "Oh, I want to start a jump rope page, but oh, my skills are just not there. Or I want to do this and I want to do that." But you're comparing yourself to the greats, right? And like I said, you just have to start somewhere. And especially if you're in midlife, I would rather you start confidently and safely, right? And the more safe you are, the more confident, or the more you build up those basic skills, the more confident that you're going to get, because today or tomorrow you're going to be a little better than today, right? And the next day after that, and the next day after that, and the next day after that. Like, it's no rush, or you do not have to prove yourself to anyone at all whatsoever. Like I said, take it one day at a time and be safe. And if you're in New York City, guess what? I actually teach jump rope classes. I teach in-person classes where I teach you the foundations, and I help to I can't even think of the word, but I help to like, I look at what you're doing and I fix it, right? Because sometimes you may just need help from a professional that's going to help to make you a better jumper, to make sure your rope is sized correctly, to make sure you're jumping the right way, to make sure you're not jumping on your whole foot, to make sure you're not jumping like really, really hard. Like there's just so many things about jumping rope that you need before you actually pick up the rope. And the more you do that, the better you become. The better, like I know like doing basic jumps all the time is boring, it's whack, but guess what? You're building up your stamina, you're building up your conditioning. It's just a lot of things that you need to know. And I basically finished with what I needed to tell you today. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer the questions for you right away. Okay. So once again, this video is about one thing that you don't need that you think you need as a newbie jumper. And the answer is you don't need a bunch of fancy tricks. Okay. You just need to master the basics so that you become confident and so that you jump safely. Okay. So I don't see any questions. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to send me a DM. If you are in New York City and you want to learn how to jump rope, my jump to burn classes are very beginner friendly. I have jumpers of all levels in there. It's a fitness class. It's not a meetup where you people just come and do a bunch of fancy tricks. It is a structured class that has several principles in it. And I truly enjoy teaching class. So it come to class bit.ly/NYC jump, bit.ly/NYC jump, or text NYC to 718-504-2192. Thank you so much and talk to you soon. Yay. Yay. Thank you.